Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another What Do I Think episode. And new stuff are always better. Like new technology, new phones, new computers are always better than the old ones. Most likely they should be better than their predecessor, but sometimes they're not. And it just depends if what kind of hardware issues it has or how big of an impact it makes when it has an issue. Really, sometimes it's not always bad to get the stuff that just came out, because you want to give it some time, especially if it's a new product that's just released that was never made before, that's being innovated into the consumer world. That's all I have to say right there. Because, sometimes the newer stuff might not work out too well. Why is that? Because there may be certain issues that was made in the manufacturing process, and you either have to resend it back in, return it, or whatever you have to do. And it's not fun to be going through that process, because really you get excited for a new product that you just bought, and next thing you know, it has problems. Right now we got like the iPhone 5s, and that's pretty fast. And then you have the iPhone 5, iPhone 4S, iPhone 4, whatever, and you expect these new phones to get faster. And they do get faster. They get a little bit faster each time they're upgraded. Now, however, there are certain times where, like, some of the newer phones actually get a little bit slower than the old phones. And that could be in anything else. That could be in boot up times or shutdown times. It could be just from locking your device, whatever, or exiting in an app. Well, not exiting an app. I would expect the newer devices to beat the old ones anyway. But in some ways, the newer devices could be slower than an older device. Alright? Let's say you have a new computer with a 5400 RPM hard drive, and then you got an old computer with a 7200 RPM hard drive. Now, boot up times, you would expect the new one to boot faster, because it's a newer computer with newer parts in there. But that may not be the case, because think about it, the hard drive has 5400 RPMs and the old one has 7200 RPMs. 7200 RPMs is definitely going to be faster than a 5400 RPM, since your computer OS is being booted from the hard drive, since that's what it's installed on. Alright, so sometimes the old computer can beat the new one because it's got a better hard drive in there with faster RPM. Just like my Acer, that takes like a minute and 10 seconds to boot up, and my Sony takes about a minute and 30 seconds to boot up, because my Sony has a 5400 RPM hard drive with more storage on it, and my Acer has a 7200 RPM hard drive with less storage on it. Now, there was a time where my Sony actually beat my Acer, but maybe because there was something going wrong with the Acer, and maybe it had like some programs in the startup folder that tried to boot up before letting the computer function properly. So really, there's like certain things that an older device can do versus a newer device, and sometimes it might be faster, but that may be in certain parts. So really, you can't guarantee that a new product is always better and faster, because while it may seem like that, that's basically like for the most common testing to show you that the newer devices are faster. But when you really dig it into, you find out that it's not really much of a difference, and it doesn't matter which one's faster or not. You just care for the power. That's what I am. I want a newer processor chip with a faster clock speed and more cache into it, versus an older one with like less cache in it and a less clock speed on it. My Sony right here, I think it was like 2 gigahertz or something, or 2.4 or 2.1, I can't remember, and I can get like a 4th generation quad-core i7 processor out there that's like up to 4 gigahertz. Or like 3.6, 3.2, whatever. I don't want to stay in the 2 gigahertz range. I want to get in like the 3 gigahertz range or the 4 gigahertz range. That's basically what I would prefer. Although this is not slow. Definitely faster than my Acer, But, you know, I think this is like the 3rd generation i7 or the 2nd generation, whatever that was, and the 4th generation quad-core i7 processors made by Intel. They're a lot faster now. So what do you guys think? Are like newer devices or newer technology always better than the old one? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. For me, it really depends. There's like no straight answer to this question, because there are like certain obstacles that would prevent you from getting to a certain answer, and then you're thinking something else. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.